responsible citizen, and the role of educationalist. What makes a person a citizen? What is the concept of citizenship? And what does it imply? Why is citizenship important for good governance in a democracy? What are the rights and the duties in relation to a citizenship under the Indian Constitution? What happens if a citizen behaves irresponsibly against the basic premises and value of a constitution? Can citizenship education help restore the balance between state and civil society, thus establishing good governance? These are the questions of many raised in the minds when citizenship is coined in. A responsible citizen is one who consciously participates in common destiny with fellow citizens, respecting the dignity of each individual and the unity of the nation. Our Stella Maris College, a self-sustaining arts and science college affiliated to Stella Maris College, a self-sustaining arts and science college affiliated to Mahatma Gandhi University, was established in 2014 with a vision of overall development of students. Our college offers courses like BCom CA, Tax and Financiation, MA HRM, MCom Tax and Financiation, focusing on the future-oriented skill development in students. First of all, I would like to welcome Ms. Ragi Ramachandran, Assistant Professor of our Stella Maris College, for the welcome speech.
Good morning to everyone present here. Respected Dr. Paul V. Matthew, the Principal of our Stella Maris College, Dr. V. Bishou Kumar, Associate Professor of JNU, Resource Person of the Day, Advocate Arun Kolkunil, Chairman of the College, and Ms. Amy Arun, Director, and all other participants. On behalf of our Stella Maris College, I welcome you all to the webinar on Responsible Citizenship, the Role of Educationists. Our Stella Maris College is in the forefront of updating our academic fraternity and student community on the recent development of various sectors. A good citizen has to imbibe many qualities. The fact that we have some duties and responsibilities to bear is true. But at the same time, we also enjoy some rights and privileges as a citizen of a free state. A responsible citizen is one who consciously participates in the common destiny with fellow citizens, respecting the dignity of each individual and the unity of the nation. We are so happy and delighted to have a very excellent resource person, Dr. V. Bishou Kumar, to talk about the topic responsible citizenship, the role of educationists. And we are grateful to him for accepting our invitation and becoming a resource person of today's webinar. Once again, welcome you all to the enlightening section. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, I would like to welcome Mrs. Dina Edison Professor of our Stella Maris College, for giving a brief description about the resource person.
Dr. V. Bishou Kumar, Associate Professor at Center for Comparative Politics and Political Theory, School of International Studies, JNU, New Delhi. He also worked as Assistant Professor in the Department of Political Science, Northeastern Hill University, Shillong, Meghalaya. He was an Assistant Professor in Department of Political Science, Mizoram University. He also excelled as country researcher in India on rethinking parties in democratizing Asia under the regional program Political Dialogue Asia of the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, Singapore 2020.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to welcome Dr. V. Bishou Kumar, Associate Professor of JNU Delhi, for the section.
Good morning to all. Indeed, it is a privilege to be part of your program. And we are in the online mode. Otherwise, I would have enjoyed very much with your physical presence or physical interactions. First of all, I thank the organizers of this program for inviting me, because when the invitation came, I readily agreed, even though it is an online mode, because I thought that, okay, this is the opportunity to share my views with all the students and faculty members of the college. And the topic which is assigned to me today is responsible citizenship and the role of educationalists, which is a very interesting and illuminating kind of topic, and which another 45 minutes I will discuss on that, and I share my views on this issues, and then followed by you can have some kind of discussions. So I start with since I'm a political science teacher, we are discussing citizenship, and citizenship is a major issue or major political. Sometimes it is also a social issues, not only in India, many countries around the world. And what is citizenship? I start with the preliminary kind of definition of citizenship, or the preliminary understanding of the concept of citizenship. Citizenship, in the introduction, it was mentioned that it is something is a membership in a political community. Membership in the political community means we are taking a membership in a political community. When we take a membership in any kind of organizations, or whether it is a political party or any kind of associations or organization, that membership means that we can have certain kind of rights. And it is not only rights, at the same time, we have certain kind of duties to that associations or organization. So here, the membership we are given by the state or the political community. State is a manifestation of a political community. And here, see, the membership, since individuals are given the membership in the political community, the individuals, which we call citizens, they have certain kind of rights and duties with the state. And so that's why we say that it is considered as a shared membership. It is not that the membership is individual membership. It is a shared membership of a political community, and which is defined by national identity within the territorial boundaries of the state. Because one of the problems with the citizenship is that citizenship is always territorially defined. Because when we say we are Indian citizens, that means we are confined the Indian citizenship only within the territorial boundaries of the state. So it is territorially defined. That is one of the characteristics of the modern citizenship. Modern citizenship is the territorially defined kind of citizenship. And in fact, this citizenship, or the modern conception of citizenship, is also related to the other attributes of the modern state, like territoriality and sovereignty, because these are the three, in fact, the characteristics of modern state: territoriality, sovereignty, and citizenship. And citizenship, as I told you, that important component of the modern state. And when we talk about citizenship, now citizenship involves, as I told you, that citizenship means a membership in the political community that involves rights and duties. Then when we talk about the citizenship, there are two kinds of citizenship. For example, there is a vertical kind of citizenship and there is a horizontal kind of citizenship. Vertical kind of, so we know that vertical this way, vertical kind of citizenship means vertical this way, in the sense that the individual is responsible to the state, or the state. Individuals have certain kind of commitment to the state, and the state is also giving certain kind of rights to individual. That means, say, the state is guaranteeing certain rights to individuals, and individuals are having certain kind of responsibilities or duties towards the state. This is called the vertical kind of citizenship. Then otherwise, other form of citizenship is the horizontal kind of citizenship. In the horizontal kind of citizenship, we can find that each individual has certain kind of responsibility to fellow individual. Isn't it? That is the we can say that the horizontal kind of citizen, the individuals are relating with each other. It is not that the vertical kind of state always guarantees some kind of rights to individuals, and individuals have the responsibility, but individuals among themselves have certain kind of the kind of a shared life and some kind of cooperation. Now, same. In fact, the as you know that when we study the theories of citizenship, say in fact the classification of citizenship, T.H. Marshall, who studied the citizenship theories and citizenship, he talked about three kinds of citizenship. Three kinds of citizenship that involves civil citizenship, political citizenship, and social citizenship. Civil, political, social. These are the three categories of citizenship defined by Marshall, T.H. Marshall. But here you can't find any kind of citizenship or in other forms of the citizenship as we are discussing today, responsible citizenship, because all these are implied within the citizenship, or whether it is civil citizenship, political citizenship, and the social citizenship. Now, say, and social citizenship, obviously, we know that the social citizenship involves certain kind of welfare policy, social welfare, and ensuring certain kind of minimum standard of living among the citizens. And Marshall, himself is not much aware of the modern what we discussed today, responsible citizenship, because his categories are the three major categories, and he did not talk about this responsible citizenship, because he responsible citizenship, he thought that it may now come to the social citizenship or political citizenship or kind of civil citizenship. Now recently this responsible citizenship is emerging as an important concept in the political literature or the governance kind of theories also. So what is responsible citizenship? Responsible citizenship now consider that the citizens are a certain responsible subject or responsible categories. That means these responsibilities are certain kind of responsible kind of subject. They have certain kind of a responsibility. Now the question arises, whom the citizen is responsible, whom a citizen is responsible. Whether citizen is responsible to state, or citizen is responsible to international community, or citizen is responsible to a community. In fact, a responsible citizen means a citizen is responsible to all these things, isn't it? And that means a citizen is responsible to a community and is responsible to the state, and sometimes the citizen is also has certain kind of commitment to the international community. And so responsible citizenship is sometimes going beyond the ideal kind of citizenship, that is that's beyond the territorially defined kind of citizenship. And that's why we can say that responsible citizenship has wider kind of dimensions and a wider kind of connotations. Now, according to responsible citizenship, citizens are not mere bearer of certain kind of rights, isn't it? When we say that the state is giving certain kind of rights to the citizens, and the citizens have certain kind of responsibility towards the state. But here it is, citizens is not a mere bearer of the rights. All we are having certain kind of rights. We are also the bearer of rights, but it is not that. No, that means a responsible citizen has certain kind of knowledge about his knowledge about his society or his community, and about the state and the world, and he's also responsible role in making a world better place for his own living and the fellow human beings living. And this is the way we can define a responsible citizenship, because a citizen has to have certain kind of awareness about or knowledge about his or her role in the community and community, state, and the world. Now this question comes that as I told you earlier, whom we have to be responsible. And in fact, we have to be responsible to our state, because the state is the primary guarantor of the rights to the individuals or citizens. So we have to be responsible to our state, and but at the same time we have to be the horizontally we can say that we are also responsible to other kind other citizens or the fellow citizens in a state, and sometimes we have a responsibility towards international community. Now, same again, so we can say that same this responsible citizen, the idea of a responsible citizen is not considering that citizen is not a passive kind of subject. Citizen is not a passive kind of a subject. That means passive kind of subject means no, we have the rights. So as a citizen of India, I have a right or you have the right. But it is not that we are only giving certain kind of obligations, or we are only obeying the state rules and regulations. It is not that the passive recipient of the rights guaranteed by the state. And because sometimes the responsible citizenship goes beyond the passive conception of the rights defined by the state also, because we are more active and more sometimes that includes the responsible citizenship also include say sometimes even rising criticism against the state also, or some kind of positional viewpoints are emerging. It is not that always we take some positions which is in tandem with the acceptance principles of the state or the community. Sometimes citizens also raise their voices against the state, against the community, against the society, because certain practices, certain kind of the values which are existing in the society, especially in a democratic kind of society, responsible citizenship has wider connotations. Now, see, for that, see, responsible citizens now have to develop certain kind of qualities, so that develop certain kind of values. And which are the values which are essential for a responsible citizens? For example, the values such as toleration, especially in a diverse country like ours, we have to develop tolerance, toleration as a virtue, as a value. Now we have to inculcate then honesty, some kind of moral courage, and the compassion to fellow human being. So these are the qualities we have to inculcate for being a responsible citizens in a country like a democratic country. Now, after having defined the citizenship and responsible citizenship, now I am coming to the next part, that is the role of the educationalist. Educationalist, that is a wider connotations, is include the education administrators or the teachers and all categories, all the stakeholders in the educational field. And what is the role of the educationalist in cultivating a responsible citizenship? And that is the primary things, because we want responsible citizens, and we have to inculcate certain kind of values among the citizens, and citizens think in terms of the community well-being, and things in terms of the state and the other kind of international community. And what is the role of educationalists like us? And for example, as a teacher, what is my role in cultivating a responsible citizen? For example, see how we can cultivate a responsible citizens. First one is that, first point I want to highlight is that we have to transform the banking model of education. Isn't it? The banking model, because this is the theory which says that education is something like a bank. That means, see, under the banking concept of education, see, the education is something, an art of depositing. Bank, we deposit our variable things and we can get high returns, or sometimes is a bank, we deposit things and we are taking this deposit whenever we want it, or we can get the value of that deposit whenever we need it. So the education is that, like that is the banking concept of education. Education becomes an art of depositing, in which the students are the depositaries, and the teacher is the depositor. Now we as a teacher, we deposit Now that means we deposit knowledge to depositories. That is, the students are depositories. We are teaching them, and we are depositing the knowledge, and the students have to reproduce that knowledge whenever the teacher asks to do so, or in the form of examinations or some kind of things. This is the banking model of education. What is happening in this process, the banking model of education, is that, say, the teacher is the pillar of the knowledge, isn't it? Teacher is the pillar of knowledge, and teacher is conveying his or her knowledge to the students, and students are reproducing the knowledge whenever the teacher wants to it, isn't it? Under this system, we can say that, so the students are something, is the reproducing whatever the teacher wanted, isn't it? And as a result of that, what is happening is that the student is not doing any kind of creativity, isn't it? And this is a problem with the banking model of educations, that we teach students, and students reproduce it in the form of the answers and in examination time. And it does not allow the students to think it in a very critical way or very analytical way. And sometimes even some students cannot possess a different view about the subject which was taught by a teacher, isn't it? This is the problem with, and such a kind of situation, how we can generate a responsible citizen, isn't it? Because the problem is that because the banking model of education. So what I'm saying is that, how we can inculcate a citizen or responsible citizen, we have to transform the banking model of education. That means we have to allow the freedom to the students, or the students to critically engage with what they are studying. It's not that, and because here this model, the teacher is something is the provider of knowledge, and the students supposed to take that knowledge without any kind of confrontation. Confrontation means any kind of academic confrontation with the teacher. So whatever the teacher says, accepted by the student. And there, we can't say that there is a scope for the cultivation of responsible citizenship, isn't it? So we have to transform that kind of things, and we have to allow the students to think independently. And sometimes I teach in the class, I have certain views about some issues or some concepts, some theories, and my approach may differ from the approach of the student. I have to accept that. Then only we can encourage the student to speak in the class. They can critically analyze the concepts and the theories, and critically evaluate my approach to the issues. And that is not happening because we always see that the teachers are the depositories of knowledge, and we are in fact the sources of knowledge. We are conveying to the student. The students need to reproduce it whenever it requires. And that's the first point I want to highlight, is that in order to create a responsible citizen, we have to transform the banking model of education, which is existing in the society or in the country. Secondly, what we have to do is that the second point I want to highlight is that we have to alter the patron-client relationships. We know that patron-client relationships existing in many other fields. And so here also, education also, we can find there's a patron-client relationship. And here, the teachers are sometimes as the patron, and the students are the clients. So the clients benefit from the patron. So this kind of the relationships gradually leads to whatever the teacher says should be accepted by the students. So the education system is just like a patron-client relationship, and such a situation, such a system cannot produce a responsible kind of citizens. and we have to alter that kind of things. Okay, students have their own views. Even though the teacher-student relationship is there, it's defined, but at the same time they can have their own views about certain issues, and that may not they may not affect the relationship between the teacher and the student. So second point is the altering the pattern client relationship in the education system. This is the way we have to create the responsible citizen. See, sometimes this pattern client relationship, so in the education system we can find that we want always disciplined classes. We don't want noisy students, because sometimes we see noisy students as something something deviation, or something something different from the disciplined kind of students. So we want disciplined students. What disciplined students brings is that sometimes whatever we say, teachers say, accepted by the students, because students may not protest, may not take a different view, or teacher may not, students may not criticize the teacher, and in certain kind of, so this is because of the pattern client kind of relationship. We have to in fact alter this kind of pattern client relationship in the education system, so that the student can think it critically, and they can also develop certain kind of qualities which are essential for the responsible citizenship. Now, how we can create a responsible citizenship? Now, this is the issue. How to create a responsible citizenship? For instance, I told you that the two ways. One, we have to alter these systems, alter the banking system, and altering the pattern client relationship. Now, how it is possible? So first one is that we have to create critical thinking. The education system, we have to create critical thinking. And this was the point which was emphasized by many philosophers and educationalists. So critical thinking, and because education inculcates critical thinking. It's not that students have to critically analyze the problem, critically approach certain kind of issues, and the role of the teacher is to create a critical thinking. As we know, in India's case, many times we know that we are many times bound by many kind of values, traditional values, and many kind of prejudices, and sometimes we are bound by certain kind of social taboos. And as a result of that, we are not going to create certain kind of critical thinking in the education. Even we see that since I'm teaching in the MA level students, PhD students, sometimes students come with a certain kind of issues, some kind of topic, and when they do research, engage research, they say that whatever they do research on their community, their religion, their kind of the social engagement, they highlight the virtues of their community, their religion, their kind of society. And sometimes they are not able to critically analyze what is happening in our society, what is happening in my community or my religion, all these things. And because of the so much prejudices or subjectiveness involved in the process. And here, see, what we have to do is that for cultivating a responsible citizens, we have to create critical thinking among the people. Because education is, after all, a deliberative kind of process. It is not that it's a one-way process. A teacher always come and teach the students, or some kind of deliver some lecture, but it is a dialogical kind of process, or it is a deliberative kind of process. And we have to generate a certain kind of deliberative skill among the people. And that deliberative skills and ultimately leads to certain kind of critical thinking among the students. So because that's why the point which I started, that a responsible citizen is not merely a bearer of the rights guaranteed by the state, and he has or she has to develop certain kind of critical kind of thinking. Secondly, how we can create a responsible citizens? See, we have to instill certain kind of scientific temper and rational outlook. Now, see, most of the time, see, what we are happening is that what is happening in the education is that even the higher education or the primary education, we can say that because of certain compulsions, we are not able to instill the scientific temper and rational outlook in our curriculum, our pedagogy, and all these things. And as a result of that, we are not able to move away from the conservative kind of or the social authority and everything, isn't it? On the other hand, say a responsible citizen can be cultivated when we are instilling this scientific temper and a rational outlook among the student. Sometimes the students are affected by regressive kind of values existing in the society. So we have to instill them some kind of universal conception of brotherhood or the common good among them, and so that they can generate a certain kind of scientific temper and rational outlook. Because unless students think in terms of reasoning or reason or then the education system cannot change, or we cannot develop a certain kind of responsible citizenship. In fact, this was the point argued by many philosophers, educationalists, even economists like Amartya Sen, who talks about the scientific temper, public reason, rationality, and philosophers like John Rawls, who also talk about public reasoning, and education plays an important role in building public reasoning among the people. And especially the philosophers, again, the philosophers like Martha Nussbaum also talks about this kind of public reasoning. So my point is that we have to instill certain kind of scientific temper and rationality among the people. This is the way we have to create a certain kind of certain. We have to create the responsible citizen. Third aspect is that, say, along with all these things in the education system, so we have to cultivate a certain kind of values and norms among the students. And for example, in a democracy, education is considered considered to be an essential precondition for citizenship. And so because say education creates a good citizens, or what we are discussing today, responsible citizens. So in the educational, our role or the educational role is to cultivate a certain kind of values and norms, and especially civic virtues. We have to teach students the civic virtues, respect for laws, honesty, and interpersonal kind of trust and relationship, so that we can develop this kind of this kind of responsible citizenship. And so far I discussed the issues, how to cultivate responsible citizenship. Now, see, all my throughout my lecture, I was emphasizing on our relationship with the state, community, and our interpersonal relationship. A responsible citizenship is someone. Citizen is someone who has certain kind of commitment to the state, community, and fellow human being, and developing certain kind of qualities among them. Now the important issue now comes is that say a responsible citizen, can a responsible citizen be an ecological citizen? Because now recent days, in the citizenship debate, the ecological citizens, the concept of ecological citizenship is very much discussed. Now, can a responsible citizen be an ecological citizenship? And so in that case, what is the role of educationists like us? Isn't it? So for instance, say we talk about the responsible citizens, and who is having certain kind of responsibility towards the state, a responsibility towards the fellow human beings, and generating certain kind of values, all these things. Say a responsible citizen's role does not confine to a political community, because we have defined earlier, we see that citizenship is a membership in the political community. But here, say your membership in the political community, something narrowly defined. Because say the citizens sometimes go beyond the political community. That means we have to extend the political community to ecological community. isn't it? That means a responsible citizens, should, respect the concerns of the human beings and non-human beings in the planet or in the globe, isn't it? So a responsible citizens also sensitive to the environmental issues, and the responsible citizen also concerned about the global warming, climate change, and the emission of the carbon, isn't it? So these are that means the citizenship is not merely, responsible citizenship is not merely confined to the political issues or the civic issues or the social issues, and he or she has to concerned about the ecological issues or the environmental issues, which is also affecting our living, individual living and community living. So ecological citizenship involves both environmental rights and environmental duties. Here, when we like other citizenship, political citizenship, we, as I said earlier, that the individual has right and duties. In the ecological citizenship, individuals have both environmental rights, and ecological duties. That means how an individual is having ecological rights or enjoying ecological rights. So like a state is guaranteeing certain kind of rights to individuals, say the planet or the globe or the earth is also providing certain kind of environmental rights to individuals or citizens. And ecological citizenship means a membership in the ecological community, and being a member of the ecological community, the earth is guaranteeing certain kind of ecological rights to citizens, ecological citizens. That means everyone, like political rights, everyone has the right to access the ecological goods, or everyone have the right to access the non-polluted air, or everyone can access the resources of the nature or the water or other natural resources. So everyone has the right to access that kind of, because the individual is it's an ecological citizen, so he is belong to an ecological community. So what I'm saying is that a responsible citizen is also a ecological citizen. It's not merely a political citizen or a social citizen or civil kind of citizen, and he is also a responsible. So now see, environmental kind of citizenship also involves certain kind of duties. It's not only, as I told you, that say rights and duties are the essential part of citizenship. When ecological community, when the earth or the nature gives a certain kind of right, that means you can access the ecological resources. Then we have, as a member, as an ecological citizen, we have also certain kind of duties towards the nature. And the responsible citizens now possess that kind of duties and duties towards the state, duties towards the globe, or the duties towards the earth also. So here comes is environment, how we can achieve environmental sustainability. We can achieve environmental sustainability when we perform our the environmental rights, ecological rights, and ecological duties. And sometimes what is happening is that, like political citizenship, what is happening is that sometimes, say, ecological rights are not guaranteed to all, even though
അഭിദേവ് അവൻ ഗോളല്ല, അവൻ കളിക്കാനാണ്.
Sorry. Okay. See, sometimes what is happening is that say the ecological rights is not guaranteed to all all ecological citizens. We know that some communities have certain kind of, or some the social groups have certain kind of advantage over the resources of the nature, and others are denied to the from accessing certain kind of environmental goods. And in fact, ecological citizenship does not allow that kind of things, because everyone belongs to ecological community, like a political community. Everyone can possess that kind of ecological goods. Then again, it has certain kind of ecological duties. We have certain kind of ecological duties towards the towards others, because ecological community has a wider kind of meaning. It's a wider connotations. Here include not only human beings, non-human beings, whether it is animals, plants, or other species on the earth, or microcosms. All these things belong to ecological community. So a responsible citizens, may not be confined only to political kind of commitment, political values, or helping the other fellow human being. A responsible citizen is also an ecological citizen. He is or she is more concerned about the ecology, the ecological, emerging ecological issues, all these things. So here also, as an educationalist, also as a teacher, we have a certain kind of role. We have to now. You can see that the syllabuses are coming, new syllabuses. There is some the emphasis on the environmental issues, or environmental environment is teaching in the primary schools and secondary schools, and even say in the university level also. Environment issues related to environment, or this discipline, environmental history or environmental politics, is part of the curriculum. And this is the way we have to inculcate environmental consciousness among the people, and thereby we can cultivate a responsible citizen who is sensitive to environmental kind of issues. So the role of the educationalist, in this context, for creating or generating in environmental citizenship, the responsible citizenship, we have to be very sensitive to the environmental issues also. It is not only defined in terms of political citizenship. At the same time, we have to move away from this kind of political citizenship to more ecological kind of citizenship. Now, how we can generate this kind of environmental consciousness? One way is that through curriculum also. That is why I told you that many schools and universities, they add environmental issues, the part of the syllabus, in the school syllabus and university syllabus. And we as a teacher, as teachers, we have to create that kind of consciousness, or certain kind of values, environmental values among the students. So a responsible citizen, can be ecological citizens when we have to generate that kind of ecological consciousness among the people. Now, after having said that, the last part of my lecture is that, say, what are the what are the stumbling blocks to this kind of cultivation of responsible citizens? We always, every educator, every teacher wants to and cultivate certain kind of qualities among the students, and which ultimately leads to the emergence of a responsible citizenship. But there are certain kind of roadblocks to the cultivation of the responsible citizenship. So one thing is that we can find is, briefly, is the emergence of the market rationality. Because now our education system, what we witnessing is that we are under the grip of the market rationality. That means, say, market rationality, we know that reduces citizens as a depoliticized kind of category. And there is a greater amount of depoliticization. Depoliticization, I'm not saying that depoliticization does not mean that we are alienating from the political parties and other things. So politics has a different kind of meaning. Politics does not mean only party politics. So what is happening is that the, say, new liberal rationality reduces citizens as a depoliticized kind of category. So greater amount of depoliticization, greater amount of individualism, and is taking place in the neoliberal era. And that is percolated into the education system also. And people think it in terms of the market values. So my education, my my investment in education, relate to the market symbols. And as a result of that, say, citizens are reduced to something economic maximizer and utility seeker. And nobody talks about others, as we have said, that nobody think in terms of others' welfare, others' duties and others well-being. And this is because of the market rationality, the penetration of the market rationality in the education system. Sometimes the teacher also thinks in that way. Say, I go and take classes, and I say, okay, let them study it. Why should I spend more time? Why should I teach them beyond my syllabus? Because I confined only to my syllabus. I have to complete my syllabus. Should not create any kind of trouble for me, because talking about different things in the classroom. So that kind of the attitude is developing among the student, among the teachers, educationalists, which has an implication for the cultivation of the responsible citizenship. And this is the market rationality, in fact, leads to it's one of the stumbling blocks to the cultivation of the citizenship. This is the point. In fact, talked about by Noam Chomsky and others also, who talks about how the neoliberal system based on market principles leading towards a depoliticized kind of citizenry. Citizens are depoliticized because of the market invasion, or the penetration of the market rationality in the education system. Secondly, second roadblock to this kind of cultivation of responsible citizen is that we are now in the process of economizing this kind of disciplines. And this is also a part of the neoliberal rationality, or because of the influence of marketization, economizing disciplines. That means, say, in the system of education, some disciplines are, we feel that some disciplines are more important, and some disciplines are less important. Isn't, for example, we see that in a market-oriented kind of society, there is a greater preference for some discipline, or economizing that kind of disciplines. For example, science and technology, sometimes this kind of new skill, learning new skills, technical skill, which is essential for this for the students. And sometimes there is a downsizing of other discipline. For example, you can see that social science discipline or humanity discipline, we are not teaching. Sometimes the students are not preferring the humanities, social sciences, and sometimes the teachers are also not interested to teach that kind of discipline. So that's why this is also an impact of the marketization, because people are society is moving towards the greater marketization, and as a result of that, there is an economizing or downsizing of the discipline, and certain disciplines are having lesser values. And such as systems, how we can create a responsible citizens, because we are not teaching the values here. We are not teaching certain disciplines, social sciences or humanities, to our students, and how we can generate certain kind of values among the students. And this is the problem. And you see, for instance, in India, we have number of IITs, Institute of Technical, this kind of education also. So these IITs, we can see that even though IIT was set up earlier, now most of the IITs have the social science department, social sciences and humanities taught in IITs. That means a student has to learn from the society, because ultimately your technical knowledge or the scientific knowledge can be used at the societal level. So even you are entering into technical education in IITs, you have to teach, you have to study certain kind of the disciplines, social science and humanity discipline. That's why most of the IITs, we have now social science department, humanities department, because the students are taught the social science discipline. But now what we are witnessing is that there is some disciplines are they are gaining more significance, and some disciplines are gradually vanishing from that. And such situations, how we can create or generate this kind of, or cultivate responsible citizens because of the economic downsizing of the discipline. Then third point is that there is, as I told you, that one of the essential prerequisite for a responsible citizen is that we have to create scientific temper and rationality. But now one of the stumbling blocks to the cultivation of responsible citizenship is the growing rationality in the education. So sometimes the courses are designed to favor irrationality. Or sometimes we have seen that what is happening in the education system, that sometimes the course content, the pedagogy, and the syllabus wanted to promote a certain kind of irrationality. And such a situation, how we can now generate the scientific temper and public reasoning among the students. And this is another problem faced by the education system today, that say the growing irrationality in the education system. And fourthly, see, we know that most of the education systems, the autonomy is eroding. See, the erosion of autonomy, educational autonomy. And say earlier, most of the education institutions enjoyed certain kind of autonomy. Now there is more centralizations, more bureaucratizations. We have to follow certain kind of stringent rules and regulations, and that in fact kills the autonomy, the academic autonomy. And when the institution does not enjoy certain kind of autonomy, then how we can create that kind of responsible citizen? Because say all stakeholders are sometimes bound by certain kind of stringent rules and regulations, and sometimes they are under this kind of bureaucratizations and centralization process, isn't it? So what I'm suggesting is that how we can generate as responsible citizens, the more decentralized kind of, more humane kind of rules and regulations, which should be governing our academic institution. This is the way, isn't it? Sometimes otherwise the bureaucratic kind of rules and imposition of the rules and regulations on academic institution, that can erode the autonomy of the education institution. Ultimately, it leads to the crisis of the responsible citizens. So these are the some of the views about responsible citizen, how we are responsible to the community, how we are responsible to environment, all these things. And I stop it here. If any questions and any kind of clarifications, we can have another 10 minutes, and welcome to any kind of feedback. Thank you. Thank you all once again.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring class and informative section. Now it's time for a question and answering section. Those who have questions can either raise your hands or can type their questions in the chat box. So there's a question from Nimish.
That's something.
But these fundamental principles are eroded widely and even have large number of takers. How do you foresee the culture of responsible citizenship to be emerged in our country?
Chat box is there. No, see.
So should I read the question once again?
Our constitution and various systems and secularism, communal harmony, but fundamental principles are eroded widely. There are the number of decades. How do you foresee the culture of responsible citizen emerging the country? Yes, same. Same. If you see the citizenship in India, say in Indian citizenship has its own history, and Indian citizenship emerged in a particular context. Unlike other countries of the world, it is a culmination of the various the nationalist movement and the subsequent constitutional developments, and the assertion of certain kind of communities for equal treatment and equal recognition within that also. So here the constitutions also established. This is not only, that is why what I am saying is that the citizenship in India is not merely a legal kind of citizenship. It involves certain kind of, even though this constitution is not talking about responsible citizens, but at the same time, say, we have a different kind of, the guaranteeing fundamental rights also. It's not that the fundamental rights given to us is only for the citizens. No, it is only for individuals, isn't it? That is why in the constitution, we can also see that, say there is certain rights which are given to citizens, individual citizens, and individual citizen can enjoy certain kind of rights. But at the same time, citizen being a member of a community, that means it also talks about group rights, isn't it? So our citizenship is not only premised on individual rights, but at the same time, it is also enshrines the group rights. And being a member of a group, I can also exercise certain kind of rights. That means here, see, I am not only enjoying the rights guaranteed by the state or the constitutions as an individual, but being a member of the community, I can also exercise that kind of the citizenship rights also. So here, it's not mainly say this is not something that means we also, even though we our citizenship also involves a more liberal kind of citizenship, or it is based on the right-based kind of argument or right-based kind of, but also sometimes we are moved by certain kind of Republican values or some certain kind of communitarian kind of values or community values so often there in this citizenship. And that's why say we can but the problem is that we have all these provisions and all the conditions for generating certain kind of responsible citizenship. But the problem is that there is something converting these things to, or the reaching out to these things, the stakeholders, isn't it? So all these provisions are there, but here comes the role of the education. We have to teach them. We have to teach the students or other kind of stakeholders now how we can use these things, because all constitution talks about all these things, but sometimes we are not able to convert it as a responsible citizen. And sometimes we are, as I told you, that sometimes we are restricted by certain kind of situations, and because of the compulsions or other compulsions, we are not able to transform that kind of things. So the conditions are there. It is the role of the teachers, our education system, especially in the education system. We have to teach them the values of citizen. Then we can, sooner or later, transform this into political citizens, into a responsible kind of citizen.
Yeah, sir, my question is regarding the cinematic liberty these days. So, sir, how the cinematic liberties taken by the renowned persons are distorting our target of making responsible citizens in the current scenario?
Yeah, I'm not. There's a video, this audio, uh, sometimes echoing. That is why when you ask the question, I'm not getting the proper clarity. Yeah, because
Sir,
sometimes.
should I repeat the question?
Yeah, you can write down the chat box. Then is for me. There is some echo sound in my audio and videos. So echoing, I'm not able to. Something vibrating, vibration is coming when you speak. Maybe my problem, my system's problems. Yeah, you can take. You can put it in the chat box so that I can read it. Okay, I will try another one. Let us see. I can open other device.
So there is one question in the chat box.
Yeah. One minute. Yes, responsible citizenship seems a culture which is being brought to systems and practices to Yes, same. This is also related my earlier, questions. The response to earlier questions also same. In fact, say how we have to create this kind of, you know, create a, responsible citizens. Same. I think that we have to. This is the, sometimes we find that we have a curriculum, and say we are bound by certain kind of, rules and regulations or certain kind of compulsions, so we are not able to reach out to the students more meaningful way, isn't it? And sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes we are constrained by, as a teacher, sometimes I'm constrained by the time, or sometimes I am more bothered about the finishing of my syllabus. And sometimes, I that why should I speak these things, these values to the students, isn't it? And this is the problem often we face. Same. And even if, we this is part of the curriculum also. Sometimes in the curriculum, we have the syllabus, we have separate kind of, there are courses on environment, for instance, environment or civics in our syllabus. But no, it should not be something for examining the students, or it is not for the students examination point of view. At least it should go beyond that. Now we have to, and we have to generate that kind of values, among the students. It's not for the, the purpose of examination point of, isn't it? And that's why, we have civics. I'm not saying that civics is part of our, school syllabus, and even now, in the university or college education, there are some, different kind of topics now, disciplines or sub-disciplines so related to these things. But the problem is that many times is that, now we it's not only integrating, but sometimes we are more guided by certain kind of, fixed kind of, the goals, and that fixed kind of goals, we rarely talk about this kind of way in the class. And sometimes, because for me, suppose 1 hour I am getting everyday class, I'm going to this, going to the class. Sometimes I have to, rush up to the class and complete my syllabus. I am sometimes bound by that timing. I want to discuss, something in the class related to what is happening around us. But sometimes it prevents me, because I have to confine my syllabus. I have to, I have to discuss only what, in the what is in the textbook. So this is the problem usually, we face. But in spite of that, you see, that in spite of all these things, we have restrictions, we have this kind of issues, but at the same time, say, we can make differences. Even the system is sometimes hostile, or the system does not prevent us to, go beyond our, kind of, regular classes and other things. And then, but we can make certain kind of difference, in the sense that usually, especially especially in the school level, the students learn from the teacher, because after family, students are spending more time in the school, and the teacher, here, without talking that kind of values in the society, in the classroom, because of the time constraint and other things. But so often the students are, seeing the teacher, how she is coming, how he or she is behaving in the class, or what, say, even within the curriculum also. See, even there are curriculum or syllabus, but sometimes we can teach a different kind of pedagogy. We can create within the classroom, isn't it? It's not that we have to be, as I told you, always the banking model. Even within the syllabus, we can go beyond that kind of things also. So the student is seeing the teacher sometimes as a role model because of what how he or she is practicing that kind of values, and we have to take into account of that values. This is the way. This is the beyond the kind of the curriculum kind of frame. Cinematic liberties distorted the target of being a responsible citizen. Citizens. See, as I told you earlier, now we are living in a market kind of society, isn't it? A market kind of society. We are motivated by certain kind of values, isn't it? Sometimes values such as we are moved by conspicuous kind of consumerism. That kind of values also affecting us, and that is why it is said that Gandhi once said that nature gives us everything for your needs, but nature cannot provide everything for your greed, isn't it? Here, nature can satisfy your needs, but nature cannot satisfy your greeds. And here, see, once you moved away from your needs to greeds, now you are going to sacrifice the values, isn't it? I want to accumulate more, I want to create more profit, and I want to acquire more resources, more wealth. Then see, what is happening is that the value systems also gradually erode, isn't it? And so what I'm saying is that the existing culture, the market culture, this kind of culture also has certain kind of implications for this kind of cultivating the responsible citizen. What is other? It's a link. Okay. Any other things? Any things you can?
Thank you, sir. Lastly, I would like to welcome Ms. Nimisha, Assistant Professor of Avestala Mary's College, to deliver her vote of thanks.
A warm good morning to all. I always time to convey sincere gratitude to Dr. V. Bishou Kumar, Associate Professor, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. We are so grateful to have you here as a resource person, and I take this opportunity to showcase my sincere gratitude for this informative session on responsible citizenship and role of educationists. It was really an insightful session that illuminated us to become a responsible citizen. We are really overwhelmed by the eloquence of the resource person in bringing multiple views on citizenship and role of educationalists. Moreover, we gained a lot of information through the session, and I hope it will be very useful for all the participants in future. My humble gratitude to Professor Kumar for the kindness to join us today. The team of Islamic College is so much obliged to your time and your invitation, your hectic schedules and academic engagement. I am delighted. Thank you so much, sir. Next, I would like to express my gratitude to Principal of College, Dr. Paul V. Matthew, Advocate Paul Kumar, Chairman of Abbas College, and Mrs. Amy Arun, Director, and all the participants join on this auspicious occasion. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Thank you, everyone, for giving the opportunity. And in fact, whenever we get time, whenever I get time, so now situation improves, we can have certain kind of physical meeting later also. I will come to your college and meet you sooner or later, some other occasion with some other kind of topic or some other kind of discussions. So thank you once again, and I thank everyone, especially the principal and the organizers of these programs. Thank you once again. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Feedback form is added to the chat box. A certificate will be issued shortly. Thank you everyone, and have a nice day. Thank you, sir.